Hello, and welcome back to the My Big Campus class. In today's class, we're going to work on creating a quiz. So let's get started. In order to create a quiz, you're going to have to go to schoolwork. So you have two options for doing that. One, you could select the Create tab on the top of your page, and that'll give you option to create schoolwork, My Big Campus document, or a bundle. Your second option is to select the schoolwork tab on the left hand side of your page. Regardless of the route you choose, it'll always direct you to this specific page. Now to create schoolwork, you're going to select the Create Schoolwork button on the upper right hand corner. So, because you're creating schoolwork, there are different types of schoolwork that you can create, or different kinds. So to decide that, you are going to select the assignment right under the kind option. Now if you're not sure what kind you want to create, there's the question mark to the right hand side of kind, and it'll tell you the types of schoolwork you can create. The first one is an assignment, which is graded and can include a number of questions, question groups. The second one is a quiz, which is a graded assignment. Assessment, which is ungraded. Now the reason why that one's important is because you could use that to see how your class is doing as a whole rather than by individual student. Practice quiz is ungraded. Anonymous survey, a poll, which is ungraded but will show what each student answered. And a simple assignment, which is a graded assignment that has no questions. However, it allows students to return the assignment by filling out a text box or attaching an item. So we're going to go ahead and create a quiz. So we're going to create a quiz, and then we're going to name this Quiz Chapter 1. Okay, right below you can add a description. This is a practice quiz for Chapter 1. And we're going to save and continue. Now, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and start adding questions. Now what you'll notice right off the bat is that it says shuffle questions no, shuffle answers no, or randomly use. And in this case it says all questions. We'll get to this in just a little bit. So add a question. We can add an essay, multiple choice, multiple select, true false, fill in the blank, file upload, essay or file upload, or something from your question bank. So question bank is when you already have a select number of questions that have already been made. So as you continue to build quizzes from My Big Campus, it'll automatically put each question in a question bank, so it saves them for you automatically, which is useful for when you're trying to create a cumulative quiz or test. You can pull from questions that you've already assigned and use that to build a review. Now, so let's go ahead and start with a multiple choice question. So the question we are going to ask is to solve for x, and we'll go ahead and put the question as x plus 5 equals 6. And we'll scroll down and you'll be able to enter in the answers you would like. So x equals 1, x equals 11, we can add a new answer. And once you want to select the correct answer, to the left hand side you're going to select the circle. So x equals 1 is the correct answer, and we're going to save that. So we've added a multiple choice question. Now let's go ahead and add one from our item bank. So add new question from our question bank. I want to pull one from our test quiz, and I didn't title the group. So I see 3 questions that I generated a few days ago. I'm going to add what is your favorite food and why, which is an essay question. So the question's been added. I'm done adding questions from my question bank, and as you can see, my essay question is there. The last one I want to add is a fill in the blank. Especially in a math class, I don't want to try and figure out 3 or 4 different options for multiple choice. So I'd rather have them fill in the blank. So on the left side I can write solve for x plus 7 equals 5. I don't have to add text on the right hand side unless it's part of, say, a English question. The correct answer in this case would be x equals -2. And I'll go ahead and save that. Now all of these are graded except for the essay, which I'll have to go in and grade and assign points myself. Now, we're going to go ahead and edit the group. Once you start editing the group, you have a couple different options. One, you're going to assign a question group. Now the question group is important because if you're creating a quiz with multiple sections, for example, if I was creating a math quiz where one section was on fractions, a second section was on slope, I might want to consider putting those as two different section groups, because what I can do is I can create a question group just for fractions, and then I'll be able to shuffle the questions and the answers. So if it were a multiple choice question, somebody else's option A would be different from the student next to them. Now if I created a question group on fractions and I wanted to make the test a little bit more difficult or different for everyone else, I can create a question group of fractions with 20 questions, but only assign them 2 from this specific group. So that way, one student could have 2 specific questions on fractions and their neighbor could have 2 questions that are completely different from theirs because you've created this question group. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now, you'll notice that here I have 3 questions in our question group. And because I said randomly use 2 questions, it will only select 2 questions from this group. Again, this is great if you wanted to create a test or a quiz with several different versions. This will do it for you without you having to do all that extra work. So if you want to add a new question group, you would select the Add New Question Group from the top of your screen, and it should give you the same options as it did earlier for us. So this one we'll call Slope. This question group is about slope, is on slope. Shuffle the questions, shuffle the answers, and 2 from this group. And again, as you're creating these quizzes, it's already generating a question bank for you. So as I enter these in, these questions are being saved for later use. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now we're going to go ahead and go to standards. Now entering in standards takes a little bit more time, but it is useful because you can add in standards from specific states or countries. And I would like to choose from the Common Core content standards. Let's say math, because I think those are already made. Say choose grade 8. And I can add a new standard by selecting the plus sign, and then I'll add that standard to this specific quiz, or I can create it as a favorite. I can add it on as a favorite. Now adding it on as a favorite means that I'm able to save this for future use, so that as I go through the year, I won't have to go through all of these button pushes. I could go to the Or button and select my favorites, and I should see all of my favorites already there. So this should make it much easier to add in standards. So we're going to go ahead and save this and go to Assignees. Now Assignees is helpful because I can select specific users or specific classes to assign this quiz to. In addition, I can assign bundle locks and thresholds, which we'll show you in a little. So let's go ahead and go to Assignees. Once you get to Assignees, you can add new assignees. So I can add my first period algebra class, the Introduction to My Bay Campus class, any of the iMiddle Movie Fest classes, just by selecting the plus sign. So I've assigned it to them. or I could scroll down to the very bottom and select specific users. So from the specific users, I'll select a class. Once I've selected the algebra class, I can choose specific students. So I can choose Randall here. So Randall's been given this quiz as well as my first period algebra class. Now the options. I can set specific start and end dates. So you can create a quiz a week in advance or a month in advance if you're lucky, and select an end date for when you want the students to have it turned in by. So you can give your students an hour or a day to get this done. You can assign a quiz password so they're not able to access this quiz without this password. You can allow for maximum submissions. So if a student takes it once and does poorly, you can give them the option to submit it a second time to do a fix-up or for a second chance. You can allow late submissions. So if the due date is passed, it will not allow students to turn it in unless you allow late submissions. Time allowed. You can give them a specific amount of time to finish this quiz. Retake threshold is very important, and you'll see when we get to the bundle exchange portion. The retake threshold says that if a student does not get a specific percentage, they will have to retake it again. So, if let's say you set a threshold of 70% and a student gets a 69, it will not allow them to go on until they have taken the quiz again, scored 70 or above. Next one is show results on completion. Do you want them to see their score? I typically say yes. Show correct answer on completion. So depending on my application, I may not show them the correct answer because I don't know if I want them to share that just yet. Lastly is it can create a new discussion for your groups automatically once this quiz has been taken. So once we've decided that, we're going to go ahead and click Save. So now you've created a quiz. Creating other schoolwork will work very similar to the way that this has been done. So now let's review. In this video, we learned about the types of schoolwork that you can create. We've created a quiz by adding various types of questions. We've added question groups, we've added standards, and then we've worked on who we're going to assign it to, as well as the various different options that are available. That's all for now. I'll see you guys next time.